Ready?
Yes.
Hello.
Hello.
We're back with a new set.
We have moved.
We moved. We're in a new place with new things to figure out.
Thanks for bearing with us.
Yeah, but I feel like this looks more professional. It looks like one of those like actual podcast studios.
I feel like we're on beanbags in the 70s.
Yeah, it's so fun. We're just like ready for our sleepover. We already like did our makeovers and everything. Jess curled my hair. It was an experience.
It was. I think I did a great job.
Culturally. A cultural experience. And now we're here ready for our bedtime stories.
Where should we begin?
So much fighting happened. Your thing's being mad at you.
What'd it do? Did I miss it?
Yeah,
Oh,
it just slid down. Is that okay?
It's fine.
Yeah, I just like looked at it and it was like, sad. It's like you turned him down after he bought you a drink. Thought it would work this time.
It didn't. You got to bring more than a drink.
Sorry.
Personality counts too.
Yeah, and a horse.
Horse helps.
Bringing a horse.
A horse helps.
Dude, could you imagine if a guy rolled up to a bar with a horse?
I might jump on and ride off into the sunset with
right?
him.
That'd
That
be
might
so
do it
cute.
for me.
I feel like that could be the move. Like if you guys go to like line dance places or something, roll up in a horse, you probably bag any girl there.
Definitely. If you know how to two-step, jump off a horse and two-step right on the dance floor.
Ooh.
Got any girl. I was trying to tell one of my friend's sons, like, take dance classes. This is the key to success. You may think it's like not masculine right now, but you will get all of the chicks because all the girls love to dance. You got to do things that girls want to do.
Exactly. See, the Mexican men, they know. You know, the Spanish men, they know how to do all the like fun little, the bachatas and the merengues and the salsas, and like the hottest old guys there will be the ones that can spin you around and like do the little dance shimmy while you're behind them, and then they spin you back around. They're very forceful, but not too forceful. Just leading the dance.
They're
just
confident.
Right. Yes,
they're confident. They take control. Anytime I go to social dancing, I have an old man spinning me around the dance floor, and it works. It works. Has me thinking about him later.
Guys, if you're a man that watches this podcast, learn to dance. And if you're a girl that watches this, watch out for motherfuckers who can dance because you know they're a hoe.
Fair point.
He is a hoe.
You're not the only girl he's spinning around the dance floor, honey.
No, he comes every night.
Appreciate it for what it is.
Be in the moment.
Exactly.
That's it. That's all you can be. The guy who dances. You know who was doing some good dancing on his feet was Sean Brady.
He looked so improved from his fight with Belal.
Yes.
So he was like only throwing a double jab cross in his fight with Belal. It looked very rudimentary. Mm-hmm. I mean, effective. He did well for it for a time, but he looked completely revamped. His cardio, the pace that he pushed on Gilbert Burns, he did not give Gilbert Burns a moment to get his offense. No. He had some great counters with his grappling, but it just the pressure, the pace of Sean Brady just was too much.
Yeah, you're gonna get going. You could see him start to put something together, start to put a little offense. Every now and then he'd land something good or get a good takedown, and you're like, okay, Burns is in it. He's in the fight. And then Brady would just keep like bum, just like nicking away at him, throwing those charging combos. That it's really funny the way that works for some people. Like the fact that Gilbert Burns was moving backwards, it really made Brady get ahead of him. So even when Burns would land every now and then with a bit of power, there was no way he could catch up because Brady was just backing him up the entire time. And then when they would get close enough to grab each other, he'd be the one initiating the clinch or at least pushing up against the fence, really draining Burns' arms out. I mean, that's kind of what happened to me in my last fight. Just getting pushed up against that fence when no activity is going on. your arms, if you're fighting for freedom and the other person is just latched on and holding and pushing, if they're not getting a takedown, they're still using less energy than you are trying to get off of that fence. So I felt like Burns just really got the wind taken out of his sails in those parts of the exchange, and then he would try to land with power and miss, and then Brady would just land with volume, and he was really putting everything together really well with his legs too.
That was one thing with Burns that I saw. He was relying too much on the big power shots. He wasn't able to, because of Brady's offense, or because it wasn't what he was trying to work with that night, but he was only throwing one or two big power shots. He wasn't keeping Brady honest with those feints and the volume. Just putting his punches out could have potentially changed the pace, the cadence of the fight.
Yeah.
But it was really impressive the way Brady showed up and showed out for that fight.
Yeah.
He looked just completely renewed. He took all the feedback from that fight with Belal and he reinvented himself, which is just what you want to see in a fighter after a loss.
Yeah. You can tell he did some inner work too, like a lot of mindset stuff.
Yeah.
All of his interviews, his post-fight, his pre-fight media scrum, he was talking a lot about not showing up in the Belal fight and not being able to be in the moment and be present, and all these keywords that let you know, okay, he's working with somebody, or he got a good book, or he's like, something happened where he was able to tap into this power that is being in control of your mindset going into a fight, because we're always in these high pressure situations, and especially someone who's undefeated, you have that fear of the unknown. Like you have that fear of what's going to happen once I lose you feel like that's the thing that makes you special. That's the thing that makes you unique. So as soon as you lose your then nobody's going to care about you anymore. So he was saying that losing that 0 on his record was actually a burden lifted. And now he was free to just perform and be in the moment and not worry so much about, what happens if I win or lose, but just try to outperform in every moment of the fight.
Yeah, if you're trying to hold on to something, I feel like that's when you start kind of losing sight of the objective. You start fighting not to lose, and that takes the edge off, and it puts a lot of pressure on. And I think that as to what you were saying, it was just very freeing for him to be able to let the O go, be in the moment, just really figure out what he wanted to execute and do it. And
I feel like the longer the fight went on, the better his striking looked. Like I was talking, dude, I was not impressed with his striking in his previous fights. I was talking mad shit like, I think Gilbert's going to have the advantage on the feet. And it's pretty much the consensus of everyone else thinking about this matchup. Like, yeah, the grappling is going to be amazing. Burns might have the advantage on the feet, but we think Brady can handle it. Instead, Brady handled every area. Like he did great grappling, great wrestling, great counter wrestling, and then great striking on top of all of that. Like his jab, like you were saying, it was so sharp, it was so fast. Every time Burns would kind of come forward, he'd just get popped with the jab right as he was trying to load up and throw something big. And that's so frustrating for a power striker to get hit and interrupted when you're about to throw something big. That just completely throws you off your game. So the jabs, the pressure up against the fence, the charging combinations, all that stuff just totally outworked Gilbert Burns. People were saying that it was dominant. I feel like winning every round doesn't necessarily mean domination. I felt like Burns did do well in the 3rd round. I think in the 4th too, he was doing kind of well, but it's just he couldn't match the volume and he couldn't land anything that really made a difference in each round. But he was in the fight the whole time.
Yeah, it was a competitive fight. I mean, in no way, shape, or form, they talk about age, they talk about slowing down.
Oh, the age talk.
It drives me crazy. Like, find something else to talk about. It just...
I mean, the way Bisping was talking about it, I was like...
He's projecting.
Did you run out of shit to say? Yeah, he is projecting.
Of course.
Because he retired at what was he, like 36 or something? 36,
I think a little
37?
bit older, maybe, yeah.
But he's like, this is what happens when you're old. This is is what happens when everybody's old.
Listen, old is a state of mind, okay? It's
It's
a state of mind. It's a mentality. And yes, there are certain things that you have to change as you get, up in years. It's just a reality of the situation, but that doesn't necessarily mean that is the end all be all, that is, you have to retire. It's different for everybody. Everybody's on a different path and journey. Everybody has different strengths, things to work on. But
I'm mentally forever 21.
I think I just keep getting better. So that's my mentality.
Mentally infinity sign for Jessica.
But it was impressive. Brady systematically wore him down. I thought his, the over-unders against the cage, they were draining, they were tactical. He wasn't wasting as much energy as Burns. Burns had beautiful moments of reversals. We got to see some beautiful grappling scrambles, which I was really hoping for in this fight. Although I thought it would be more of a striking match just because their jiu-jitsu would kind of cancel each other out. Mm-hmm. But I rather enjoyed the fight. I don't think it was completely dominant as we were talking about previously. It was a competitive fight, but Brady just had the edge.
Yeah, he did. When he was saying that if you shake up the fight with him and Belal 10 times, he wins 9 times out of 10.
Ooh.
What did you think about that? Or what do you think about that, knowing that information?
I think that is a great mentality to have. I think he obviously learned a lot from that fight. And I would love to see that fight run back because Belal looked much improved since his last outing. Brady looked much improved since his last outing. So I would love to see, a couple more fights with Brady, get him working up that ladder just a little bit and just see how it goes. But I think that's the right mentality and the right mindset that he has to have.
Yeah, for sure. It's I think a lot of people can let that be a defeating thing, losing your 0 or losing to someone who is now the champion, but he's using that as a goal. And, most people should be able to take that, okay, the only person I lost to is champion now. People didn't respect him when we fought, and therefore they didn't respect me losing to him. But look at him now. This loss aged really well, and then eventually, if I keep working my way up, I'll be able to get that revenge fight.
Yeah, absolutely. I see that happening, maybe within the next year. If he keeps winning, if he keeps putting on shows like he has, I think that he's in a great place mentally, physically, emotionally. He has a daughter on the way. He has a new motivation for himself.
I was going to say that dad energy came early.
Yes.
It was preemie dad energy.
Yes. And that goes a long way. So I think that, he's been on... people have had him on, their top prospects. And I think that he, even though with a loss, I don't think that hinders him at all. I think it's actually motivating because he's taken it and done something with it.
Yeah, it seems like he's going overtime in the gym, and that's the best thing a loss can do is just convince you, okay, I need to put a little more effort in, and then I'll be able to perform on fight night half as good as I perform in the gym.
Yeah, losses are meant to motivate us. They're meant to stimulate growth. They're meant to, just be feedback and let us see what we have to work on, where the holes, the gaps need to be filled in. And a loss doesn't define us. And I think that's what Brady showed us.
Yeah. So what do you think about his Ian Garry call out?
I love it. And with the same manager, I love it. I want to see that. I'm so supportive of that one next.
Yes.
I mean, technically it doesn't do anything for him, but I think it does something for him.
I love that Philly attitude, man.
I do too.
Just it is so just matter of fact, nothing corny about it. Very just businessy, but also kind of intimidating. I love that call out.
No fucks.
No fucks. Just hey, we got the same manager. Make it happen.
I love it. I'm
manager
here for it.
Loves that. His pockets are gonna get richer.
Yes.
Either way, I get a win bonus check in the mail.
And normally it's kind of frowned upon to fight somebody under the same management, but clearly they don't go to team barbecues together.
No, he's we're not friends. Don't get it twisted. We're not friends. I'm definitely ready to fight you.
Yeah. No, I want to see that one too. It seems like the kind of matchup that Ian Garry cannot, get on his bicycle for. He can't do the things that he's been doing to like squeak out the wins.
No, I mean, I think Garry has the precision to make him not be able to charge like that. Like, if anything, this was a great fight to happen before Garry fights him, because he's seeing where he can hit his check hooks, where he can like create distance, where he can get out of the way, and he's not going to turn into Garry Murgomedov against Brady either. No. This would not be a good one to do.
He'll
that
out of him.
Oh my goodness. But I would love to see that, because we have Garry, who's just like this elite striker who hasn't been striking lately. I'm not sure what that's about, but in a fight where he's definitely going to be outmatched on the ground, this is a great one where we might see classic Ian Garry again, the one that people were excited about before, Sean Strickland tried to ruin his social life.
Man, Sean Strickland has been coming for people.
Yes.
He was just coming for Tiki.
Oh. Yeah. What happened with that? He got shut up real quick.
There was just there was a lot of stuff in the rumor mill how this manager who's like very much in the scene was maybe taking advantage of younger people. And Strickland went with, I think, without even knowing a lot of information about the story, just like took to social media and just started a whole bunch of buzz. I haven't heard anything more about it since then, but it's just one of those things.
I think that means he got shut up. Maybe he was onto something. Maybe he found out a little too much.
You never know, man.
That's why you can't ask too much about the alien stuff, man. Like, people keep asking me, I'm like, yo, y'all want me to get probed. y'all want them to come down, snatch me out of my bed in the middle of the night with a ray of light and get probed, and I'm not letting it happen. Sorry, guys. Don't ask questions you don't want the answer to. But with the Tiki thing, like, he was a coach, right?
Coach and manager.
Yeah, so you see that a lot nowadays, people coming out saying or admitting that they've been abused by coaches. And it's really sad, because usually this happens when they're too young to know any better, too young to know what's going on, or the fact that they're being taken advantage of, or they're not doing anything wrong by refusing.
Called grooming.
Yeah, it's fucked up.
And these are those relationships that are so, important and imprinting on people. And a lot of young athletes coming up, they want, to be a part of things. They want to fit in. They want to make people proud of them.
They want the pat on the head from coach. They want to be noticed. Notice me, senpai.
Yes.
Please. Did I do good?
So they'll put themselves in really precarious situations, and situations that they wouldn't otherwise be in, because they want that. So it's just, I hope it's not true. Do
you know him? Or have you met him before?
Yeah, I've met him. He's from Huntington Beach.
Yeah, that's what I figured. Yeah. Do you know him?
No, I do not.
Good.
Moving on.
You're too old for him.
Stop. Oh my goodness.
Oh God.
In the co-main event, we had Jessica Andrade versus Natalia Silva.
That was a great fight. Fight was so. Again, people are like, "Oh, she dominated her." This fight was a lot more competitive than the main event.
It was very competitive.
Yeah,
Andrade had, she has such grit and just like that. Fuck it, She has that like coming forward. Even if I'm losing, I'm still gonna try and hurt you. Like there's no give in her.
Very Terminator-esque.
Very much. Fight. And she had a really tall order for her. And Natalia Silva just didn't stop moving. She had great footwork. She uses her lead leg really well. Everything is, power, sharp movement. So she's just very elusive, explosive, and she made it really hard for Andrade to like implement her game plan, to like get that takedown to get down to where she could kind of neutralize the size and speed advantage.
Yeah, it was hard for her to track her. Silva did a great job moving back and forth, and it seemed like it's like that trap that you get put in when you're fighting someone who's really good at lateral movement. They back up, they like to hit off the back foot, so it seems like you're gonna get them. Like, oh, they're right at the fence, I'm gonna get them, and then they just step out of the way, and then you follow them, and then you get smacked in the head.
Yeah.
You know, she was doing a really good job of leading Andrade right into the strike that she wanted to do. It's kind of what we trained to do, but on the opposite end. Like if we were Andrade, we would be trying to cut her off with punches, cut her off with kicks. But because she was so much longer, because she had such great like dexterity with her legs and was able to throw so many different types of kicks, she was able to do the leading of the dance and cut Andrade off, even though she had her back to the fence. It was really impressive to see, and I haven't really seen too many people do it like that, especially in her division.
Yeah, she was really good at getting Andrade to square up. So it's like she kind of shortened her reach on either side, and she already has that reach disadvantage, just, you know, stature wise. So Andrade kind of just played right into the game plan of Silva, and it was very masterful. And she had a great call out right afterwards. She, you know, is already calling for her title shot, and I'm not mad at it. You know, there's a little bit of a line, but I think she's right at the backlog after Manon, after Rose and Blanchfield.
Yes. Yeah.
So there's a couple people in front of her, but she's really exciting. She's been dominant. She's on, what, a 6-fight win streak now?
Yeah.
I mean, she's right there.
6 in the UFC only, 12 outside of the UFC. And yeah, there's a few people in front of her. I mean, Blonde Fighter is right ahead of her. She probably won't be after this weekend, after they retally the rankings. But that might be an interesting matchup because they're both like very heavy with the volume. They're both counter strikers. It could be super boring, but we'd have to see Natalia get more aggressive with it, come forward a bit more and see what happens then. But I think when it comes to the next up, like, yeah, she's right there, man. One more win and she's going to get that. They did mention Macy Barber. How do you think they match together if that fight happens?
I would love to see that one too. That's I really wanted to see Macy and Rose, but Rose and Blanchfield I'm happy with. I think that, yeah, if Macy doesn't have a fight, why not?
Yeah, if she can stay healthy. Yeah, because that was the thing, right? That pulled her out of that fight.
Yeah.
Who was she supposed to fight?
She was supposed to fight.
It was Rose?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
She was supposed to fight her in Denver.
Yeah.
And then Cortez ended up stepping in.
Poor Cortez.
Yeah.
And then the eyelash fell off.
Ripped off.
It's all Macy Barber's fault.
It is.
Macy got eyelashes too, right? Does she fight in the eyelashes?
Has eyelashes. No, I don't think she does.
Okay. I felt like I seen that before.
Maybe out of the cage.
Yeah. You know who does fight in eyelashes? Jacqueline Amorim, and she never gets them hit because she goes straight for the takedown and straight for the submission.
As she did. So what did you think about the Demopolus complaining about the fingers in the gloves? So they actually showed the picture and her fingers, yes, were in there. Not like completely in, but she had like, you know, the first knuckle in there. And it is illegal, but I think she should have focused more on getting out of that really tough situation. Give the ref a heads up, which she did, but I think she was just so focused on the foul and what was happening that she stopped defending.
Did she, if she would have a case for that maybe getting overturned if she armbarred the side that was holding the glove?
See, I was thinking that too.
Like, I feel like she would have a case for something, but still it'd be very unlikely that she'd get it overturned. But the thing is, with MMA, a lot of the rules are just really strong suggestions. Like there's been so many, no, seriously, there's been so many fights where people are eye poking, eye gouging, fish hooking, grabbing the fence, doing just about everything you can to foul the person. And it's like, okay, we're gonna maybe take a point. What's his name? Makayev pulled a cop's whole asshole out, you know?
I know.
Asshole. He pulled his whole cheek out is what I meant to say. Luckily his hole was still tucked between them. But he pulled,
it was safely secured.
In Manel Cop, he complained, but he didn't throw his arms up and let himself get choked.
He stayed on task.
Yeah, he's pulling my pants down as he stayed framed up and, you know, protected himself. So I was a bit annoyed at Demopolus for reacting that way. It looked very green and it looked very emotional. And, you know, you can't have those moments in a fight. Like, you have to remember that you are fighting a person, and just because a ref is there doesn't mean that the person fighting you is going to play by the rules before they try to break your arm. Like, it's fighting. Like, that's one thing that Dom kept saying all card. It's fighting. I think something else weird happened where there was a foul and the guy was complaining, but you know, you still have to protect yourself when it happens.
Yeah. I mean, first and foremost, it's a fight. Protect yourself at all times. Even if somebody is being shady, even if somebody is, you know, doing something foulish, illegal, whatever you have you have to protect yourself and you have to stay on task. Yeah. It's just, otherwise you're going to get hurt. Otherwise you'll get submitted.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, it was frustrating to watch. I understand the frustration because there are rules that are set in place. We are supposed to abide by them. And when people find this gray area, this opportunity to do something that you're not supposed to, you just kind of have to roll with it. And if a ref doesn't call it, then you just have to be okay with that.
Yeah. There was plenty of time for her to not just complain about it, but reach over with her free hand and fight the grip inside of her glove. Like, that should have been the reaction, but instead she went, "She's holding my glove." Break. Like, she literally gave her the arm as she was complaining. Like, I watched it a bunch of times because I was like, "Ooh, yeah, she's holding her glove real bad."
Yeah.
And then I'm like, "But what's the other arm doing?" And I'm like, why is she giving her the arm? It was obviously a lapse in just focus.
Yeah.
And that happens. Everyone's human. But yeah, you gotta be ready for that. That's like, you know, when I do my prep for my fights and I write down all the different situations that can happen, that can throw me off. That's one of them. Like, what if the person's cheating? What if the person does this or does that or does that? And the main game is make sure you're safe. If you can, complain, but first priority is making sure you're safe and making sure you're not gonna, you know, allow that to take you out of the fight. And that's what happened with Demopolus. So it's a learning lesson. Yeah. You know, it's a learning lesson. She'll go on to learn from that. Maybe she'll learn her own little sneaky glove grab rules, because it is really easy for that to happen just because we have these tiny little wrists and the glove sinks right in there. It's a really easy thing to do. I feel like it's happened to me every fight.
Yeah. Well, lesson learned.
Yeah.
Lesson learned. Cautionary tale.
Yeah. Meanwhile, Amorim is coming with 2 armbar submissions in a row. So it'll be interesting to see who she gets next. Probably someone in top 15 next.
I think that's an easy one to say.
Yeah.
That's fair. Absolutely. She's been steadily getting better and better. And she has,
I think since it was Sam Hughes who she lost to, right? And she's won every other fight in the UFC.
I think so.
Yeah.
I have to check.
But yeah, that'll be interesting to see who she gets next. I actually got to train with her back when she was in South Carolina before she fought for the LFA title. She was training with our boy Danny Martinez.
I love
Coach
Danny.
Danny. He's
He
teaching her
is
how to
the
be
best.
an MMA
Everybody
fighter.
needs a Danny in their gym.
Yes, he's so motivational. So like, just like, you know, that fuck it attitude. He'll come in, do the work. Doesn't matter what he was doing last night, how crazy he got at the bar, or, you know, how much work he has to do. He'll always come in, do the work, leave happy.
Yeah, he's like the team captain
Yes,
for sure.
totally team captain.
He's always in shape. He's always ready to go. He's always ready to help.
Yeah.
He's a great teammate, great supporter.
So, did you figure it out?
Yes. So her last loss was to Sam Hughes.
And I think that was her first fight in the UFC.
Her first fight in the UFC, and then she went on to beat Montserrat Ruiz, and then Corey McKenna, and now Vanessa Demopolus. So that is 3 in a row. All finishes.
Wow.
So yeah, super impressive. That's a quick route to the top 15 for sure.
Yeah, for sure. We'll see where she lands on Tuesday. Speaking of team captains, our favorite homie was fighting on BKFC.
Ooh, I just got chills, man. He was like made and built for that.
Yes.
Specifically that is not something that I ever want to experience in my life. I am happy to support all of my friends doing it.
We have too many friends doing it. I think we have 2, but it's
Two, it's too many.
It's too many. My heart can't take it.
Oh my gosh. It's just bare knuckle fighting. I swear it is. Everybody has said to me, you know, throughout my career in mixed martial arts that it's too brutal. It's so brutal. No, bare knuckle fighting is brutal.
It makes you appreciate how much of a sport power slap is.
Stop. You and power slap.
No, not power slap, but how much of a sport. I was gonna say MMA, but I knew. I need laugh at power slap. No, it makes me appreciate how much of a sport MMA is, because you have gloves. It's you get to do other things aside from punch people in the face. And bare knuckle, there's so much damage taken.
There's so much damage.
It's like neither person wins.
Nobody wins.
Your hands get fucked up.
Both of you are going to end up in the hospital next to each other. Every time I have been to a bare knuckle boxing fight, there is just this crazy, there are so many, like, it's like triage, like on a battlefield. There's just so many beds because, and
Everyone has
just,
gauze around their forehead.
Yes,
like,
it is insane.
There's a guy playing the flute.
It's insane. Everybody has something broken. Everybody has stitches. Everybody has mandatory, like, at least 6 weeks suspension.
Yeah.
Like, it is not one of those like those things that you can just like
a grappling tournament.
Yeah, you can just
Combat
casually
jiu-jitsu.
do this.
Yeah, no.
Like, you're gonna need some time to recover, and you're gonna be in pain for a while.
I'm always amazed at the people who come out unscathed. Like, no cuts, no lumps. They're just like
just trauma.
Yeah, especially the ones who made it to the scorecard. Every now and then you'll see some lucky guy who makes it to the scorecard, not a scratch on him.
It's crazy to me too, because like, just damage is going to be part of it. Mm-hmm. So you're going to get cut up. Most likely, like high 90s, you're going to get cut up. And to see some of the fights that get stopped by cuts it's kind of like, well, that's just part of it. Like, that's part of the sport. So I feel like you should let those go.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, what about that eye poke thing that happened? That was so wild.
Which remind me.
So that in BKFC, there was a guy who was fighting. I'm not gonna remember who it was, but a guy was fighting. He gets punched in the face. They stop it because he complains about an eye poke.
Yes.
And a knuckle with no padding on is gonna feel exactly like an eyeball, or a finger. Tip going into your eyeball.
Yes.
So you can't blame them for complaining about that. But because it was an actual punch, they stopped the fight.
Yeah, it was ruled a TKO. I remember that.
Yeah.
It's such
It didn't seem like they gave him a chance to keep fighting. They were just like, oh, you reacted badly to an actual punch, so fight's over.
let me punch you in the face and hit your eyeball with my knuckle and see how you respond.
Yeah.
It's just one of those things, those human error. You know, you're in a fight, you're trying to protect yourself, you want to keep it fair. If it was a foul, then it's a foul and you get time. If it's not, then you just, I feel like it should have just been restarted. Because in those kind of high tense situations, he was just trying to make sure that everything was square.
Yeah. The only time I feel like you should do that with a foul is when a guy complains about a nut shot and then you look at the tape and there was no nut shot. Because that happens a lot. It happens a lot. Like it came up in Muay Thai and that shit would happen all the time. Like once a card and people would look at it and they see the replay and they go, that was the liver. He kneed him in the stomach.
You got knocked out.
You got knocked out. You basically got knocked out. But it's like, okay, if you get hit with a knee to the liver, just grab your crotch. Grab your crotch and you can fake it.
I mean, it's a strategy.
It is.
Why not?
It works.
Yeah.
It definitely works. So that's the only time I would use that rule. But I feel like it's unfair to do that for an eye poke because a lot of times, like even with the gloves on, you get punched good enough and it feels like they jabbed you in the eye. And you're like, wait,
like,
that's not fair.
Feels like my eye's gonna explode.
Yeah, hold up. Like don't pull a Demopolus and just be like, he punched me, he poked me in the eye, and drop your hands and turn away from your opponent. But you should be allowed to complain and at least see if there was a foul there.
Yeah, and if there's not, just go ahead and start it. I think that was unnecessarily harsh of a punishment. It was an honest mistake. I don't think that he was trying to play a game or anything like that. I think that he felt something and he wanted to check on it.
Yeah. Speaking of unnecessarily harsh, what did you think about David Feldman going in on the two women in the main event of BKFC?
You know what? I never like hearing a promoter, an owner talk badly about the people that are fighting for his company, that are promoting his business. Both of those women were there. They earned their spot at the main event. They're both in their own rights, exciting people. Maybe, it wasn't their night to put on an exciting fight. There was a lot on the line. I understand the strategy that Massa-Wong had against
Massa-Wong.
Massa-Wong, sorry.
It's like my nickname for Adam's big old Wong. Massa-Wong. This show's been canceled.
So uncomfortable. So uncomfortable.
This show's been canceled.
Can we bleep that out? Anywho, listen, Christine is a dangerous fighter, and I understood this. I can't with you. I just can't with you.
I'm sorry.
I'm trying so hard to course correct.
Whoops.
Oh, you knew what you were doing.
Yeah.
You knew you'd make me uncomfortable.
I call you Massa-Wong.
Anyways. Listen, I understood the strategy.
Yeah.
That I can't say her name. That
Massa-Wong had.
I understand her strategy, and I actually had her up on the scorecards because of it.
Me too.
Because Christine's game plan, she is so dangerous in the pocket, and it's she's become more of a technical striker now that she's working with a different coach. She's really sharpened up her boxing technique. And but she's still very dangerous in the pocket because she just will unload punches. So I understood the game plan.
Yeah.
And getting back to what you were saying about Feldman, I never like hearing somebody speak badly about their fighters. Listen, they went on and they put on a performance. I thought it was a tactical fight. I thought it was a very exciting, not necessarily the most exciting fight, but I didn't think that it deserved the criticism that it had. Like, not every fight is going to be fireworks that you want it to be.
Yeah, and maybe that just comes with experience in being a promoter, knowing that sometimes you're going to get a dud of a fight, or just not even a dud, but just something that isn't as visually pleasing as Jeremy Stevens walking down a guy and him collapsing on his knee after a jab that happened 10 seconds ago. Like, the drama of the co-main was such a hard act to follow anyway, that, you know, they were kind of doomed from the start. But like you were saying, it was a great game plan to stifle her. It was similar to what Silva was doing to Andrade. Every time that Andrade would get into that range where she was really dangerous, Silva would grab the head. She would get her into the clinch and make it so that she couldn't really get off those hooks that she likes to hit, the ones that ended up dropping Durden and all the other people that she's like messed up in the past. So that was a really smart tactical thing by Massa-Wong, but she wasn't able to put that excitement behind it. And that's where the criticism was coming from. The boos were happening, but these girls were still fighting their hearts out. Yeah. And I think I was most excited to see who the winner was going to be after that, because I thought, like you, that Massa-Wong was up. And they ended up giving it to Ferea. I think she landed kind of like a little bit of power, maybe the last couple of rounds. But yeah, I'm still surprised that she won it, to be honest.
Yeah, I heard the broadcast team say, well, you really have to take it away from the champ. And I think that...
And if that's true anywhere, it would be BKFC.
Listen, and I mean, I just really have to back them up from the criticism, because in a sport we were just talking about, there is so much possibility for damage. Mm-hmm. You want that longevity, you know, you want to be able to have a quicker turnaround. You don't want to have that like painful recovery. I understand why there was such like tactical strategy. Mm-hmm. I understand that. Ferea's a very dangerous fighter. She's, I think she's a great representation for that sport, for that organization. And I think that Feldman just needs to chill a little bit. Relax. Chill, man.
Relax. Chill. You had a whole prelim full of KOs. Like, don't get greedy.
Chill.
The audience can sit through one fight that doesn't end in a bloody mess.
Yeah. Come on. Yeah. Come on.
Oh, man. Well, there's some more fights on the UFC card that I want to get to. But first, let's talk about Bellator. We had a couple friends over there. And
we did.
You had tickets, but I guess
I didn't have tickets.
You did.
I didn't.
You did at Will Call.
What?
Yeah.
I didn't know that. I mean, you guys all made plans to go.
Brian, you're fired.
Nobody told me.
What?
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
No, I like to be invited. I like there to be a plan. I'm not just going to go with 2 tickets and sit by myself.
Well, we had 2 teammates fighting, so I assumed.
Way to change the subject.
You would have wanted to go support in person, but instead just supported on the comfort of her home. Which is fine.
I was dying. Grace and I were on my computer in my room with my little portable AC.
Oh, no.
It is it's 100 degrees in my house. It is so hot.
That's why we're all shoulders out, half
melting.
naked.
I'm sweating so bad. It is so hot.
Oh my God.
Oh my gosh. Is right.
Yeah. Well, that's what you get for not putting in any effort to go.
I just remember how hot it was when I was at your fight there.
Yeah, it was the same place.
Exactly. And I was like, I'll die.
It was freezing in there though.
I'm so jealous. I should have gone.
Yeah, no, it was nice. It was comfortable. It was fun. I was walking around. Ooh, and guess who rizzed me up?
Who?
Do you know what rizz is? I just found that out.
No.
It's like when a guy
I'm not that cool. I was gonna search it on my computer right now. I was like,
you're
yeah.
You're like, I'll use the context clues from the story you're about to tell.
Exactly. I was gonna figure it out, and if not, I got the computer.
It's okay. I'm in the same boat. I just I kept seeing all these TikToks about it. I'm like, what's riz? But it's basically like when a guy kind of makes you feel good about yourself, and it's either they're hitting on you or they're just doing it to do it. I don't know. I don't really know the meaning behind it, but I totally got rizzed up by Drew Dober.
Ah, okay.
And there's like only a handful of guys in the UFC that make you feel as giddy as when a pretty girl tells you that you look good.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So it's like Drew Dober, maybe Adesanya's homeboy, Oberg.
Oh.
Very modelly looking. And like maybe someone like a Joe Bond, you know, like just like the pretty boys of the UFC. Okay. I'm like, okay, this is basically, you're basically, you know, a hot girl telling me that I look good. So I was feeling myself. Basically, we were standing there. Drew Dober walks by. He does like the double take, like in the movies, like when the girl takes her glasses off, and you're like, wait, is that Angela Hill? And I was like, hi, Drew. He's like, you're gorgeous.
Wow.
I can't wait to tell Adam. I'm like, hey, Massa-Wong. Guess what happened? But yeah, that made my night. So I was really feeling myself. But
like, I have options.
I know I look good. It's like waiting to exhale. And she was like, and I still look good, and waiting for her friends to confirm. And she's like, I said I still look good. You look good, girl. That's what Drew Dober did for me. But yeah, on top of that, two of our homegirls got some big wins. Ashley Thiner, she's been sparring with us. I fucking hate sparring her.
Biggest strawweight you've ever seen.
She's so big and lanky and annoying.
Tall and
she's
obnoxious.
Like
oh my God.
Freaking praying mantis.
Stand it. Can't stand it.
So she finally did it to someone else, and now we can like
it's way more easier to support it.
Like,
as long as you're not on the receiving end. Yes, you go, girl.
Job.
Yes, good job. Good job.
It's like every time Jenna wins, I'm like, ooh, you just like destroyed her face. You just choked the shit out of her. I love it. It's great. It was beautiful. And then when she's back in camp, I'm like, I fucking hate sparring you.
Go away.
Get out of here.
Stay home.
Go work with someone else.
God, so mean.
But yeah, so I'm excited for her. She got her first win, big debut, KO. And the funny part was her dance afterwards went more viral than her KO. Did you see it?
I did. I saw it. I saw it, and I like glanced at the comments, and I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna move on.
Oh, but it's a great representation of her personality. It's the same thing we've been talking about. Just doesn't give a fuck.
Yeah.
And then when it comes to dancing, at least
cannot dance.
To save her life. But it's sweet. Hey, she was pretty good at being a backup dancer in our Sexy Red video.
She was. She just had to hold on to the door in those heels to balance herself.
Hey, if you want to check out the girl that we're talking about, watch the first Bellator fight from yesterday, but also watch the Sexy Red music video that we did. She's the whitest white girl in the background.
You can't miss her. You can't miss her.
Cannot miss her. And then our other homie, Samiko, she
did
destroy.
Oh, she's so nice and so mean at the same time.
I know.
I was like, thank you for being so nice to me and sparring.
Yeah,
because you can be a real dick.
No, she was mean. She was mad mean, and she's tough as hell because that armbar was in.
Dude, she fought it off so impressively. Her opponent was very adamant about those throws, very adamant about those takedowns, and Samiko responded, and defended them very impressively. And I loved, as soon as she had the opportunity to just like score and get after it, she did.
Yeah, no, I was super impressed. She was supposed to be fighting my friend Carrie Melendez, and I'm happy that my friends didn't fight because I don't like when that happens. Even though I get mad when people say that. I don't want you. I want both of you to win. Fuck off. But that was me this time.
Well, now you don't have to worry about it.
Yay! Bullet dodged. Another person that I was really stoked seeing win was Lorenz Larkin.
Yes, and he earned himself a title shot.
Whoa,
He's been, you know what? He's been around for so long.
Mm-hmm.
He's just been really impressive in all of his recent outings, and he just seems to keep getting better. He has a really fun striking style. It's beautiful to watch him like mix it up, and I'm really excited to see him fight for that title.
Yeah, man. He's won 9 out of his last 10 fights, which is insane. He's been super active after leaving the UFC. And I always remember that he left the UFC off of a huge win, a huge knockout of Neil Magny. So I always think about that. I'm like, man, I wonder why that happened. I wonder like if he's happy with the decision, but he's been killing it outside of the UFC. Just like had a rough start, but then was able to pick up a ton of wins. And every time he wins, it's so nasty. Like this time it was like a nasty, like top of the head punch. Like who does that? Usually when you see that top of the head knockout, it's like a heavyweight throwing a big hook, or it's a head kick that just happens to graze that top. Just but he did it button with a cross. That's crazy.
Yeah, his
I
only
wonder if
losses,
his hand hurts.
It might.
Yeah, it looked so nasty the way the guy fell from it. Yeah.
It might. Yeah, it's weird that he left. Maybe he left on his own terms, just like our buddy Phil Davis did.
Yeah.
I think maybe it was at that time when people were realizing that there were just other opportunities outside of the UFC that may serve them better. Mm-hmm. For a long time. And I mean, still, the UFC still has a huge monopoly, a huge corner in the market for, you know, being the premier league.
Especially after the merger between that and Bellator. I think Bellator was cutting a lot heavier checks then than they are now.
Yeah, I wonder what that looks like too.
Yeah.
I mean, they still have to honor those contracts.
Well, yeah, they have to honor the contracts, but that's why you haven't seen a lot of the big names that have been around fighting recently, because
they don't want to pay them out.
Yeah.
Well, I feel like that is kind of par for the course in a lot of organizations. You see the people that are making bigger paychecks fighting less and less and kind of getting weeded out, because you can get people, you know, newcomers fighting for a lot less.
Yeah,
more
UFC.
Frequently.
That's why the Contender Series is so huge right now. They love getting people in on those Contender Series contracts because they're coming in at a low pays rate and they're performing very highly.
Do you remember our Ultimate Fighter contracts, what we started at and how many fights it was for? Terrible.
I don't remember because I got cut before I fulfilled mine.
No, it was like, what was it, like an 8 or 10 fight contract? That's insane.
Damn.
Only going up in increments of 2,000 on both sides if you win.
Damn. I remember it was 8 and 8 for my first fight.
Yeah.
And I was so stoked to get that paycheck because I won. Then the next fight, it was 10 and 10, and then I lost my next 2. So it was 10 and 10 for the next 2. Yeah. I only got 10 each time, and then I was cut. But I had no idea how many fights were on the contract. But when I got re-signed, it was still a lot. I think it was like a 6-fight contract when I got re-signed.
I took the short notice title fight and I was still on the Ultimate Fighter contract. They would not let me.
They want to give you the contender cut?
I fought for 8 and 8.
What?
No bullshit.
You got no like bonus money on top of that?
I got fight of the night that night. No, it's heartbreaking. It's terrible.
Because usually you get at least like 200 to show when you're fighting for the belt.
Yeah.
Like that's
no, not me.
That's like the low end.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy.
No, would not let me renegotiate. It was awful. Yeah. It's fucked.
And that was 10 years ago. So it wasn't that long. It's not like 50 grand was a lot of money back then. It's just as bad.
Yeah. It's terrible.
Damn.
It's terrible.
Oh, that sucks.
Yep, it does. You know what was one of my favorite fights that I was really, really looking forward to on the UFC main card?
That's fucked up. I'm still...
I stay upset about it. No, it was fucking bullshit.
I did not think that it was 8 and 8. I assumed maybe they like disclosed the payout or something, and added your bonus on top of it or something like that and made it seem like you got a little bit more, but
No.
that's fucked up.
No, Shelby said, absolutely not. We can talk about it if you win. Yeah. Yeah.
Crazy.
I was talking shit to him about it the last time we were in Anaheim.
Were you
me and
managed
Corey-
by Brian at that time?
No.
Okay.
If I had been, he probably would have had my back. I was managed
Yeah.
by Eric at that time.
Shelby loves Eric. And we know why. He hates Brian.
Yeah, Eric is very
Brian.
pliable and agreeable. Yeah. Yeah, I was talking shit to him the last time I saw him at UFC Anaheim.
I bet he loved that.
I will talk shit to that man to the day I die.
No, I feel like he act like not being sarcastic. I feel like he likes it.
Maybe.
Yeah, I think he's into it.
Maybe.
Like, no, because every time I see him, he's like, "How's Jess?"
Yeah.
I'm like, "Oh, you need a little whipping? Yeah, you needed to put you over her lap. It's been a while. You need a fix."
He has a type.
Yeah. Oh man.
But a great fight on the main card that I was really looking forward to and definitely delivered was Steve Garcia versus Kyle Nelson.
Ooh, yeah.
Garcia is mean.
He's so mean. Why
He
is
is
that mean?
vicious.
Yeah. Who
And
hurt him?
he looks like somebody's dad already.
It's funny. Like
I'm like, that guy? That
when
guy, he's one of those people at a barbecue somebody would like get liquid courage and start talking shit to and then get their ass beat.
yes, and everyone would be like,
So unassuming.
"How did you let that guy beat you up?"
Exactly. Even after he's beaten your butt, you're
Yeah.
like, how
How did this
did I
happen?
lose to this guy?
No, and he has been so devastating in all of his wins, just like KO after KO after KO. It's really crazy. Like he just has that gift to find whatever violent way to finish you possible in that moment.
I loved it because so he was put in a bad position. I think Nelson had his back and then he reversed it. And as soon as he had the opportunity to, he was unloading elbows, ground and pound. It was vicious. And normally, like in a fight, they were criticizing Lima, who had fought a couple fights before him, I think.
Okay.
Lima won. It was dominant, but it was a lot of control. It was a lot of dominant position, but there was no damage being done.
Right.
And so they were using that as an example of, this is, you want to showcase, you want to display what you're doing, you want to win impressively, decisively, you don't want to just win. So they were criticizing Lima.
Yeah.
And then Garcia comes on and shows like exactly what you're supposed to be doing.
This is what you're supposed
This
to
is
do. But
what you're
not
supposed to be doing.
everyone's built like that.
No.
Like, first of all, he's built like his fight prep is all I don't know.
It is all sparring.
It's all sparring. His meal prep is all like carbs, like like this guy, he is so unassuming, and it's crazy to see him flip that switch and just go ham on people.
No, he's amazing.
Yeah, it's really cool to watch. And he did that on 4 days notice, which is stupid impressive.
Did he?
Yeah.
I thought that was somebody else.
Oh, I thought it was Garcia. He was saying 4 days notice on the thing.
Oh, I thought it was that was Schnell's opponent.
Oh no, it was Schnell. You're right.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he didn't have 4 days notice. But he still came out there and looked really impressive. Yeah, I don't know. It's just something about him that is just, you can't teach that. You can't.
He got a mean streak.
Yeah, he's able to just find the hole and pick and land with power, and his elbows are so nasty that it's just, like he does have a perfect frame for that, like for elbows and ground and pound. It's really cool to see. Yeah.
Speaking of that matchup, the Matt Schnell versus Cody Durden, we've had a lot of retirements this weekend.
Yeah.
And they've all come in different ways. And like some were planned. I don't know. It didn't seem like Matt's was planned necessarily, or maybe it was like a thought in his head, but it wasn't one of those like, hey, this is going to be my retirement fight. But he ended up losing, a tough fight. He lost by submission in the second round to Cody Durden. And Durden was the one who was on 4 days notice.
Yes,
he said he was having way too much to drink with his wife and got the call and accepted.
Yes, I love that. I love it too. No, it was awesome. Like that happened with me once in Invicta. I forget which fight it was, but yeah, I got the call short notice, and it's like, oh, guess I'll put that whiskey down and jump in there. But that's how you know, like, he's totally focused on just being the best. Like, this is his goal, is to be a best. He's a lifelong practitioner. He's working all year round, not just during fight camp. And you can tell by that performance, like he was partying with his wife, yeah, but on Monday he's checking in and going to the gym and getting his training in.
Yeah, it was kind of sad though. I wonder, I don't know, because he's not on that bad of a skid. He lost to Steve Ursig. Matt Schnell did. He's put on some really good performances. He's gotten he's still, I think, super, super talented. I don't think he's lost a step necessarily, but I guess he was just kind of ready, or maybe that loss just kind of did it for him. So I don't know what his mindset leading into the fight was, but he was looking good, even though he was being put on his heels.
I mean, it's kind of tough because if you look at just like the fights that he's had in the last 4 years, he's only won 2 of them, and it's like he won 2 out of 4, and then 1 was a no contest. And it wasn't just that he lost, but he was finished in those losses. So I think that's when you have to start looking at, okay, is this the best thing for me? Is this the best thing for my future, for my head? One of the wins on his record is Tyson Nam, and that video of Tyson Nam doing interviews from when he first got signed to his last few fights is really sad, because you can see like there's a lot more slurring in his speech. It's progressively like worse and worse, and it looks like a sign of CTE. Like it looks like a sign of brain damage. They actually had a huge conference about that during my fight week, which is why no one was available to work on me at the PI. But
that would piss me off.
I was mad. Mad.
I look forward to fight week to get all the massages, all the PT, all the relaxation.
Cup me. I want the sucker marks on me when I fight. And there was no one there to give me sucker marks. I was so pissed. But the good thing is they were doing something beneficial to our long term, which is talking to a guy a doctor who's, really doing a lot of research. And I forget what a brain doctor is called, but some kind of brain doctor who was doing all the research.
A neurologist?
Yeah, a neurologist. That's why she's the smart one. She uses the thing in your head that does the thinking. He was doing a lot of work with CTE and making a lot of discoveries. And one thing that they found out was that a lot of times you don't see the damage of CTE until 10 years later. And I'm like, fuck, I'm fucked. No. I'm like, ugh.
I should be thankful for all those suspensions and injuries that have kept me out of training and competition for all these years.
The first time I got dropped was about 10 years ago. So I'm like, uh-oh. Here we go. Better start reading before I can't. Oh my God. Give me some good books to read before it's all over.
No, there's there's things you can do. There's start taking like microdoses of mushrooms.
Ooh,
you can do like brain what are those, like brain games, stuff to keep you sharp.
Yeah, I've been doing brain games recently, trying to get better at speaking. And then
I play Candy Crush. That's my brain game.
That's not a brain game. That is a game for all your worst habits of being addicted to things and quick gratification. What is it called? Like the
instant gratification.
Yeah, instant gratification. All those things. That it's not a brain game. You need to do something where you actually have to think.
Whatever, Angela. Thanks for being so supportive.
Try Tetris.
Whatever. I love Tetris.
So that's always scary. And when you look at his record, he's coming off of a couple big KOs, and then this fight he took a bit of damage too, but he was looking good. Like his chin was looking good. So I feel like maybe getting that nasty submission loss, maybe he was finally like, you know what, I'm done.
Yeah.
Did he get to do a speech or anything? I didn't get to see.
He didn't. No, it was really sad, and that's why I kind of brought it up, because like, I mean, I haven't necessarily thought about what my retirement would look like, but you know, some people get this big send off, and some people don't. Some people leave their, you know, do the gloves in the octagon. Some people will announce it on Twitter. Some people have the organization, you know, make a freaking highlight reel for you. It just, you know, it just looks different for everyone. So it kind of just made me think, like, what would I like it to look like? Will I like choose in the moment? Will I think about it? You know, it's something that I don't really focus on, but you know, eventually that time will come.
Yeah. It's hard to say. Like, I feel like unless you have some solid plans for afterwards, or unless you're in like a rough spot and this is going to be the deciding factor how I show up in this fight. It seemed like that's kind of what was happening with Chanel. Like, he's like, you know, I've been as close as I could be to getting that title, to getting that ultimate goal. If this fight doesn't go the way that I want it to, I got to do what's best for my family. Yeah. And a lot of times when fighters retire off of a loss, they're looking out for the people that love them, not really just like looking out for themselves. But yeah, it's hard to say, man. I feel like I still got another 10 years.
I feel like I could fight till I'm 50.
I don't know.
I won't.
I don't know if Adam will approve, but he'll be like, I'm too old to be your coach.
All right. There's plenty of coaches coming up these days.
I'll just get one of the kids that you taught.
Exactly.
One of the kids that are now like competing in IMFE or FD or whatever it's called.
One of them.
Yeah. Well, should we slide over to our bonus content before we talk about the rest of the topics we had?
I think it's about that time.
What were we planning on talking about after this? I know we had a couple more fights to hit, right?
Yeah, we do. I mean, Noche is coming up, so we have some fights to talk about there. We have a bully fight on Twitter. We have some other retirements to talk about, among other things.
Yes, and I want to talk about that big female KO on Dana White Contender Series.
Ooh, let's talk about that.
Yeah, because that's going to be a fun signee when she gets in there. Yeah, we'll see you in a bit.